All metal or carbon fiber. Do you know how nice this is? I've got chills looking at it. Just, very good. So today we start with the rails. Parts needed. With the BRX01, I found that the parts needed were in the first level for the most part. We're going to identify the bits we need as we go. Easy stuff first, these lovely carbon rails. They're suspension components, we shall leave them. We need the side gearbox mount. We're going to have to fish for these, I think. And probably bag A as well. Yeah, bag A. We'll need that soon, but not yet. Alright, that's the top one. Next level, what do we got? Do you know what's nice about this is just how nice all the parts are. Everything's beautifully finished. There are less consistency issues I found with the Boom Racing stuff than with some other manufacturers. They're not cheap kits, but the quality is there. Gee, they're nice parts. Now these are 1-to-1, so actually what I can do, oh, I did see those body posts. Where did I see them? Oh yeah, I was just holding them. Body post times 4. Two. The other two will be here somewhere. 3, 4. Now the contrast is a little bit lower for me. I'm looking sideways. You guys from this camera up here can see straight down. While I'm pulling these out, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like this format of video, this slower, longer form? Let me know what you think. In past videos, I've experimented a bunch because I've never made videos before RC-TNT, not like this. I had to learn video editing as well for this channel. I've had to learn a lot of stuff, and I've been trying to cut things down and make them short so that you're not bored. But I appreciate also that getting to hang out and chat is quite a nice way to relax if you're into that sort of thing. So let me know if you like this format. If you'd like me to do more like this, I can. This entire build I will stick to doing them piece by piece. But if you'd like a change of pace in future big builds like this, let me know. I'll be happy to oblige. Now, it should be noted, we want to apply a thread lock to all screws. I've got a few different thread locks here, although, actually, let's make this a full Boom Racing build. I think we had from memory. Okay, so we've got tools, and we've got liquids and various things. What's here? Silicone grease, black graphite grease, so nice. Oh, there's your thread lock. I've got a few others here like that, left over from my past build. What we'll do is, I'll make these all, I'll do it all with Boom Racing products. I won't use my existing tools, we'll just use what they've given us, because that gives you an idea of what you might be doing too. Now, one thing I will like to work with, it's not here. It doesn't have to be this, it can be toilet paper as well. I use paper towel. When I'm working with thread lock, I like to have at least a piece of paper towel of some kind sitting out, because you don't want this stuff on your skin. My skin isn't great anyway, but I try and keep it off my skin. Also, when you tip stuff out like that, it doesn't roll off and go everywhere. Oh, that's cool. So this is a little tool that I think pops things out. So you, or maybe not. I don't know what this is. Great, I'm going to learn something. I like learning things. Okay, we've got a few different tool sizes. shaft. Ooh, pretty little wrench. This would have to be pretty high quality steel because those are quite thin. I've got a set screw. Oh, I see, set screws for this. They do wear out. This one's been rounded off a fair bit. It's not from abuse, it's just general wear. If you're careful with your tools, you can make them last better. You don't need much thread lock at all. The tiniest dab is enough. Now you don't want to use red thread lock, with the exception of Loctite. That's Blue Label. It's still the color red, but is it? Yeah, it's still the color red, but it's blue thread lock. Blue Label. Blue can be removed with heat. Oh, does this have an angled thing on it? No. Because it doesn't have to rotate. There we go. Alright, so the tool has been assembled. That's your tire tool. Right, now we've got left and right rails. You'll notice there's nothing connecting these rails yet. That will probably come soon. There you go, center skid and cross members. We're going to start with just getting things on here. Now these have a beveled inside, so that means looking at the beveled insides here, given that they fit stuff like this guy, they're designed to complete, so your thickness is the same there. So I'm holding the left rail, that's the front obviously. Front usually looks like that and back goes up, and they can be quite long on some vehicles. I did say I'm going to use just Boom Racing tools, but I'm going to break that straight away. I'm going to use a hand tool. Having a set of hand tools is nice. These came with Cross RC. You can buy multi-tools that come with a bunch of different pieces as well. Asia Tees sells these, they're 15 bucks or so. Right, bag A. These are plastic, are they? Yeah. Interesting. Ooh, there's some new pieces I haven't seen before here. This is fun. The other tool I like to have, these are a bit broken, these ones, but little tweezers. They're quite handy because having to pick things up with your fingers can be challenging. And you can already see that there are near different lengths. Now one thing that's nice about these instructions, other manufacturers do it too, but when they don't, you sure miss it. So this is a 12mm. This will be a 14mm. You can the nice thing about it is you can hold your screw right over the picture and see that it fits. So these are the M3x10. Now this looks tedious here, I'll grant you that, it does. But you do it up front and then you don't need to worry about sorting through your screws as you need them. Personal preference, I prefer not to break the flow of grab the part, do it up, grab the part, do it up. And once you've got a few little piles separately, you can just kind of eyeball it. You don't need to worry about trying to work out what size is this, what size is that. Now this will be the M3x10s I'm putting here. They will be for later. These little ones. These are beautifully finished parts. They've got a pleasing pewter anodized finish. They're nice to touch, they're nice to look at, and they add to the overall feeling of a quality vehicle when you've got it all together. I just really like these. So I'm glad I did that too, because now I also know what to expect in this pile of screws. We do have a variety, and I find it makes things a lot simpler once you've sorted them. This big intimidating pile of hardware just suddenly is a lot more mentally manageable. You can tell what you've got, and then as you start to go through the build and use some of these little screws, you can see the piles depleting, and I guess it gives a bit of a sense of progress as well. Not that you want it to be over, you're building this for pleasure, right? But it still helps you just get a feel that you're getting through it. Because even though this is a hobby and it is relaxing, and I personally do this because it's, I mean, if it wasn't on camera, I'd be sitting at a comfy table and just building. You still kind of want to see some progress. You want to see the end result, don't you? It's half the reason of buying these things. Now we've got 2 of that size. These guys go there and they go there. Okay, so now we have our little piles of screws. We've got different lengths and everything is obvious. Good. Okay, so in this we're going to use these guys and we're going to use these guys, I think. Is that what I saw? Yes. So we're using the 8s and the 10s. We're using these shorter grub screws, 3mm grub screws, 4 of them, 12 of them, 4 of them, 4 of them. Let's do it. I find it's nice to have actual hand tools. Is it the right size? Yes. I like to have actual hand tools. The Bondhus USA ones are really nice. BONDHUS. I've got a full set of these spread out across the sheds and here. But today we're also using this. Let's start at the start and work back. Front shock mount, let's go. This guy. Forward, and it goes in. Here's our left side, and it goes from the front screw hole, and then the third one. These are M3 by 10, M3 by 10, that's these guys here. Slight dab of thread, oh no, actually, I like to go through first, then a slight dab of thread lock if it's practical, then straight into the thinger, into the piece. What's going on here? Why doesn't that want to go in? Oh, the thread hasn't quite been finished on that. That's really stiff. I'm just going to come back out and go in again. I never like to force hardware. I'm just coming out again. I think what we're experiencing here is the extra thickness. These threads were cut and then these were painted. Yeah, so I can see the threads are still in the piece, but they're kind of filled in by the paint. So what we've just been doing here, I'm using the thread to finish cutting the, I'm using the screw to finish cutting the thread on the piece. It won't affect the final strength. It's probably not super strong metal either, but it'll be easily strong enough for our purposes. Goes through number 3, dab a thread lock on it. There we go. Come out a bit, and then into the piece. You'll notice I'm using my hands here too. You could use a motorized screwdriver. I wouldn't recommend using an actual drill, even if you put the clutch down low, because they still tend to over tighten these things. I like to go tight, like snug but not tight. Snug's good enough, particularly with thread lock. You don't need to go crazy. Okay, that's hole 1 and 3. Now this piece is coming in through these, there are upper and lower ones, and the screws that secure them are M3 by 10. These are the buttons. There are 8s, these are 10s. M3 by 10. 2 of. Oh, should have got the piece out first. Side gearbox mount left. Make sure the alignment's correct. Yes, it is. The threads on this piece are better cut. These are 2 different kinds of metal right here. That has a That's a different powder coating process. This is a different kind of casting process. I don't know what it is, but this feels like aluminium. That feels like some kind of different alloy. The threads are, yeah, the threads are a lot better on this. The amount of effort that goes into making these kits, it's a lot of effort, you know. Now, before I tighten these up, because they're kind of on an angle and it's just 2 holes, let's just see how much lateral movement there is, because you can still affect the finish of the build by having them uneven. You can choose to have them both down or up. I'm going to just put a little bit of pressure underneath equally, so the part sits in a precise spot, and then I'm going to tighten. Because we're not sitting in any kind of mold on the inside of this carbon fiber rail, I might do the same for these guys as well, actually, although there was less movement in this piece. So I'm just pushing up from below and then tightening. And I'll do the same on the other side, and then we should be assured of a fairly good fit. Body post number 1, and it's secured with an M3x10, which is this guy here, countersunk. CSS countersunk screw. Now there's a beveled spot for it, and the post sits out like that. Really? They're showing the post with the body latch pins, so you need to apply them. Got it. We'll do that next because I've got this sitting here. Now this thing has a shaped piece that sits inside the rail. I've started screwing now, so I'll show you on the other one. This makes sure that it has correct alignment, unlike these where they've got some movement. This guy only fits in one way. Okay, so they're keyed. Where's the other one? There. So there's like an oval, and these things have an oval on them as well, so they fit. Yeah, the screw will have to pull that in. That's okay. So the next one goes there. It's the same deal. We'll put these guys in after. I've got them somewhere sitting here. We didn't get them when we grabbed everything. It's all right. Okay, that guy goes in. Now I've been thinking about the body for this thing. I think I will build it with the Defender body, but because it's got leaves, I'm thinking I might like to actually stick a different vehicle on, something that actually has leaves. I'll have to think about that. That's not quite in right, so we're going to pull it out. I'm going to try and go a bit further, reverse again, go in again. We're just cutting our way into the piece a bit, and that's better. Just drew it in without forcing it directly. Now we needed is that them? Yep, that's them. They're on level 2. Right. These are nice stainless steel body latch pins. And I think I would like to stick them in after they go onto the chassis. It's probably a bit easier. Okay, now we've got our little grub screw, and it goes into the end. These things have a shape on the end of them. They're ready to guide a body in, and they go facing forward by the look of them. Oh no, okay, so they also have a flat spot, and the pin comes in from underneath, which is weird because in the picture they're drawn like they face forward on that side, but they face up on that side. That's a small inconsistency in the diagram. Not to worry, it shows you, and it only goes one way because there's a flat spot here, and the flat spot needs to face where this goes, and the grub screw will pull it straight by virtue of the flat spot underneath. So even if I put it in, like even if I tilt it a bit like that, you'll see as I do this up, it'll make it straight. Okay, watch for it to straighten as the screw touches it. You ready? There it goes. You see it? It went straight. So you don't have to worry too much about getting it right, as long as it's roughly in the right direction. Get the flat spot, wherever it is, there, roughly facing downward. The grub screw will pull it straight. Don't need a lot of thread lock, just a bit. The whole point of it is just to stop it vibrating out, basically. And there it goes, it pulls straight. Quality tools means we're not slipping in the grub screw, so everything just remains nice. It's so light. I like this. Okay, next is the rear shock mount. And that goes through the first, and it faces forward. This will be the same as the front one. I'll have to cut through the painted surface a little bit. Do you know, I'm looking forward to getting this finished and getting it tested against the other 110 hard body scale vehicles. So I'm just really looking forward to doing that. It's going to be quite enjoyable. Okay, there's that. Now we've got we're on the left side, that's this guy. And it comes down and out the back, rear bumper mount. The quality is just so nice. These will be button screws, yes, and they're the 8s, which is these. Is that right? Yeah. And you'll notice I'm using thread lock for each one. If you do this without thread lock, they will vibrate their way out. Sometimes you'll get a model that has some stuff pre-built. In my experience, Cross RC does very good thread locking for their pre-built stuff. Boom Racing definitely does. I've done an RC 4-wheel drive Beast 2 build a while back, and their aluminium shocks were pre-assembled, but they had no thread lock, and I was newer to this part of the hobby back then, to the hard body scale stuff, and yeah, I lost several pieces of suspension on one test drive. Okay. That is just so nice. Gosh, it's nice. All metal or carbon fiber. Okay. That's the left done. Now we shall grab the right. And I'm always checking, this comes from experience. This step is just attaching those, basically, but I'm always checking that I've got the right positions as we go. It's easy just to merrily go along building and come back later and realize you've put something on all down the wrong side. We want to avoid that. Right, we're going to do it in the same order as before. Now, if you haven't done much with screws before, I know there are some, I know probably most of you will be actually experienced hobbyists, those of you watching this long form, ostensibly boring old man build. But if you're new to the hobby and you want to build something like this, there are two common drivers, driver types. We've got, let me show you. Right now I'm using a ball end, and this allows you, instead of just doing a straight drive, you can also do it from an angle, and it kind of gives you a ball joint. You see that we can do things up on an angle instead of being straight, and it doesn't damage the head. So this is the same size as that, but it's a straight cut. It's actually the same as this. This? Yeah. So one's a straight cut and one's a ball cut. You can kind of see that when you compare them next to each other. The straight cut doesn't let you do things on an angle. You'll just round things off. Oh no, it was this size. You can only use a straight cut, straight. There's no angle involved. If you try and do it on an angle, you're just going to wreck the tool. These aren't as strong as those, but we're also not doing anything particularly strenuous. The time you need to be aware of it is when you're working with these 1.5s or smaller. You can get these as ball end and even the ones, but you got to be so careful because you'll see they bevel it in and then do the ball because there's got to be room for the ball to work. They will snap if you over torque them. Always got to be careful there. And yeah, so the paint is still interrupting the threads here. And this is the only thing I don't like about this build so far. The finish on some of these pieces, it actually feels like you're cross-threading. I don't like that. It wasn't cross-threading, it's just the paint inside is we just got to overcome it. What I'd prefer to do at this point is to stop, find something else with the same size thread, which I think this is. Yep. We're just going to use this screw as a leader. It's going to do some cutting for us. It's stronger than the little thing I'm using. Go all the way in. There we go. That was actually really hard. I think we would have busted the where did I get you from? There. Yeah, you can see some of the paint come out. We would have busted this before we got all the way in. So now that that's been cut, I can run this in and it's easy now. Carbon steel screws are the strongest kind. The stainless steel type ones are weaker. These, I don't know what they are. They're pretty, but a carbon steel screw is the way to go. Yeah, that went in all the way, so it's just that one piece. Really, you could do the same with these guys too, where I could use they're just the black, they're the ones that rust once they get water on them. I probably have them here. So if you're ever cutting, this is doing it lazy too, but that's stainless steel. They're the ones that are most likely to break. That's carbon steel. These are much tougher. I suspect these are carbon steel, they just have a different finish on them. These are all the same screw. The nice shiny ones from Boom Racing here. Carbon steel and stainless. Stainless don't get the surface rust, but they're the softest metal, so they're the most likely to break. Anyway, there we go. Okay, so they're staggered. They go toward the rail. Toward the rail. No, I've done it correctly. It just, that looks like it's like it should be going that way, but actually we're sticking it on the other way. No. It's definitely at the rear. Okay, now we've got to compare this. I tend to confuse myself with these things. That's drawn incorrectly. I conclude, yep, that's a mistake in the manual. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll explain in a sec once we get this on. The manuals are generally good on any build, but it doesn't matter what the manufacturer is. I do find mistakes in almost everything, and that's actually okay. You just got to work your way through it, and sometimes the manual will say one thing and you can see it needs to be the other thing. You do what you think it needs to be. Usually that's the correct answer. Sometimes you'll come back and see the wisdom of what they were suggesting, but in this case I'll show you in a sec why there's a logic problem here. I imagine testing these manuals involves doing the first draft, having someone build one of these things and then reviewing it for mistakes. We've not had much in the way of errors here yet, but we've had 2, I think. Okay, now we're going to loosen. We're going to push up from beneath. I basically just want to have that alignment straight and tighten him up. There we go. Okay, why is this a mistake? I'm referring to this top camera here. This comes out to the front and goes in and then up. This appears to have that bit there and the out at the back. See that bit there? It looks like it's on that side. But see how it at the top goes in? That's that piece there, it goes in at the top. It also is consistent with this piece where it comes in, comes up and goes in. We're forward facing on both sides. Perspective can do a number on your head, because remember, the stuff that's drawn here has got to be the opposite to the stuff that's drawn there. And on this side you can see it does go forward and it goes in at the top. See, it goes in at the top. They go in and in. So that's correct, that's correct, that's correct. See, they've got the small things forward. They had some trouble with that one, and that definitely is drawn incorrectly. Not a big deal, but I'm noting it because you might be confused by it too. Do I have a writing implement here? Yes. Okay, so just marking that. It should go forward and up. That's all. So in at the top. So these are just round 90 degrees. They need to come around 90 degrees. Very minor, and again, the keyed part underneath, as we saw when we did the screw, makes that straight. Hey, hey, look at that. So this is real pretty. Great, and that, my friends, is page 1 done. Next video, we're going to hit page 2, more chassis rails. We're going to do the middle cross members. That's literally, what, 16 screws? So we'll get further next time, I think. We're also going to then start putting in mounts. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Thanks for watching. Throw me a like and I'll catch you for the next installment of the BRX02 chassis build. Cheers, guys.